everyone. It's Wednesday, April the 28th. Regretfully, we have 15 additional deaths that we've got to go through and surely pay our respect and surely some way, somehow let these people know that they're not alone. They don't need to become a number or a statistic, but we've lost 15 additional great people. I'll talk in a few minutes, but this is what we got to stop. This is the whole initiative on the savings bonds for the young people. This is what we've got to stop right here. And we have absolutely got our chance and everything. And let's don't let all these folks that we've lost die in vain either. And meaning that if all they do is they passed away and God rests all their souls, but if that be the case and we really didn't react or we didn't do anything, then I think we're letting them die in vain, and we just can't do that. The 2,660th death is a 56-year-old male from Berkeley County. The 2,661st death is a 57-year-old male from Mineral County. The 2,662nd death is a 47-year-old male from Mercer County. The 2,663rd death, an 83-year-old male from Putnam County. The 2,664th death, a 59-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 2,665th death, an 83-year-old female from Barber County. The 2,666th death is a 72-year-old female from Raleigh County. The 2,667th death, an 81-year-old female from Mineral County. The 2,668th death, a 48-year-old female from Lewis County. The 2,669th death, a 53-year-old male from Raleigh County. The 2,670th death, a 74-year-old male from Hancock County. The 2,671st death is a 73-year-old female from Logan County. The 2,672nd death is a 75-year-old male from Kanawha County. And the 2,673rd death is a 76-year-old male from Mineral County. Again, please let them some way, somehow hear your prayers. In the last 24 hours, we've got 453 people that have tested positive. I don't have the number of tests that we've given in the last 24 hours, but I can tell you to get 453 positives, we probably gave, I don't know, but thousands and thousands of tests. You know, those tests are very expensive. And at some point in time, if we can lick this thing, we could stop that too, or really greatly curtail it. Our daily positivity rate is at 3.43. That's good. Our cumulative number has dropped from 5.18 to 5.17. I just got word that yesterday, in the last 24 hours, we have tested 10,818 folks. Now, these tests are not all costing this, but just think about it just a second. If those tests, 10,818 tests, cost $100, that's I'm gonna get it right. I think it's $1,080,000 or $81,800. You know, $1,081,800. But if that be the case, if they were all $100, you just think about the magnitude of what that's costing versus the magnitude of my savings bonds. The savings bonds, if we could stop this, are the best money we could ever spend. Our active cases, 7,081. Recovered cases, 142,000 and change. 248 people are hospitalized and 83 people in the ICU unit. We have 2 red counties, Berkeley and Wetzel. We've dropped Raleigh, thank goodness. We've dropped Boone. Boone was red not long ago too, I think. A reminder about 65 and older, if you can please, if you get feeling the least bit sick, go take advantage of this testing and get tested And if you're positive, we can give you these antibodies and save your life if we can catch it early enough. Our vaccine eligibility is 16 and above. I am again calling upon all West Virginians, especially those that are 16 to 35. But I'm calling upon all their moms and dads and their grandparents and everyone to urge them to go and do something that is so meaningful, so patriotic, so meaningful. If they will go get tested, I mean, they will go get vaccinated. Absolutely, just think about it. Just step back. Our young people had to stand up a lot of times over the years in West Virginia. Most of the time they were standing up to go to war, and they did it over and over and over. Absolutely, what I'm asking for is not to go to war. I'm asking for something that could very well save your life. But if it doesn't save yours, it could very well prevent and save the lives of your mom and dad or your grandparents or whomever. And in doing so, I'm going to give you something that you can take a picture of or keep and remember forever, that truly in West Virginia you stepped up. You did something and earned an absolute U.S. savings bond that you can take a picture of when it matures and goes away, or you can just keep it. It is absolutely just that. It is a way of patriotism that we all need extra doses of that today. So help me. Help me. The faster we get these young people tested, the faster we'll get there. Now, we want to continue to test our old and all those and everything as we go, but we've got to make some big dents in this. You know, so I think I've covered all the bond stuff and everything. The only other thing is, if you have had you have been vaccinated, and you are 16 to 35 years of age, you will receive the bond. If you're thinking about, you know, well, I could go get tested today, but they're not up and really running on these bonds and everything, and that means I won't get one. Don't think that, please. We will make it absolutely retroactive that anyone that has received these shots of vaccination will absolutely get their bonds, you know, and we do it in a really proud way. Now I'm talking so fast here and everything. From time to time, I'm saying testing. It's not testing. It's vaccination. You're receiving the shot of vaccination and everything. That's the people that will be awarded the bond in the age group from 16 to 35. Okay, we have administered 1.35 million doses in West Virginia as first and second round shots. We're still doing really good on first and second round together. We're doing really not good on recruiting and getting additional people to the table to get their first shot. So that's what we got to do. You know, we have a third of our total population that's been fully vaccinated, over a third, and over 2/3 of the residents that are 65 have been fully vaccinated. You know, for the amount of our population that's received the first shot is 52.2, and both shots are 41.2. And just stay with me on that just one second. We all know that anybody that's gotten the first shot is probably on their way to getting the second shot, so that's not a big deal. We really got 52.2% of our population that's vaccinated. Really and truly, if we will really get after this 16 to 35 years of age group, we'll take that 52% number to 70 and absolutely maybe beyond, and we'll get that done really quickly. Now, what will that do for us? Well, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you just this, that all the medical community tells me if we can get to that kind of number, we'll shut this thing down. And absolutely, as we get close to that, we'll be able to get this mask on. Absolutely, without any question, We are close to getting there, West Virginia, and we got to just keep at it. Think about this number. You know, originally we came out and said, if we can get to 75% on those that are 65 and older, are you kidding me? If we could get to 75% on it, wouldn't it be absolutely fabulous? No question. We're at 78.5% right now, and we're on our way trying to get to 85. Now listen to me, young people. Now listen to me. We have 78.5% of our elderly, 65 and older, that have stepped up and they've gotten this shot. Do you realize they're going to end up at 85%? You, 16 to 35. You, no question, you are transmitting this thing now faster than anyone. There's no question that I read 15 names today, 15 more dead. And of those 15, we had a 47 and a 48-year-old, a 56, 57, and a 59-year-old, and a 53-year-old. How many of these we're going to have to put in body bags? How many are going to have to die? You know, 16 to 35 years of age, please, please understand. If our most elderly can get to 85%, surely, to God above, you can get to 70. And you know what happens if you get to 70? We shut this thing down. If you get to 70% of 16 to 35 years of age, we shut it down. Absolutely, you are the key to this whole thing. Step up. Step up. Absolutely, it could very well save your life or a loved one's life, and we'll send you a savings bond on top of that. Step up, please. 70% is what I need of you. I'm getting 85% of the elderly. Surely we can get 70% of our young people. I'm reaching out again to all of our businesses and our churches, you know, our pastors and everything, to be able to set up vaccination clinics. We'll come anywhere. All you got to do is just let us know. The COVID hotline is up there and all the vaccine reminders, you know, all about testing and free testing. It's all up there in the map. The drive-through pharmacy, I always thank Walgreens and Fruth for all the great work they've done. Our outbreaks in our long-term care facilities are up a little bit. 14 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities. We have 6 outbreaks in our churches, and that's in 5 counties. That's Hardy, Berkeley, Grant, Greenbrier, and Nicholas counties. We have 39 inmates now. That's down from 66 on Monday. We have 8 staff cases. That's 20 at Southern Regional, 10 at Eastern Regional. All the guidelines are up there. All the mask still stays into effect and everything. It's all up there. I ask you to give blood. We've got a bunch of people that are going to ask questions today, and you know, in an effort to try to get to everybody, we've got the time. We'll do that right now. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. Our COVID-19 pandemic leadership team is joining us today, and they are all available for questions. We'll now go straight to questions from members of the media. The first today from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, I wanted to follow up on the question I asked Monday. I was asking about the source of the CARES Act fundings for the Savings Bond Initiative. You said you guys were looking into which bucket we were going to be taking those funds from. Do we have a better idea of that? And if this will have any impact on our formula of what we were doing with all of the CARES dollars? Thank you.
Charles, I don't think it'll have any impact on our formula. From the standpoint of we have been able to source this from the old CARES money, and you know, Charles, let me tell you, we don't know exactly what this is going to be, do we? I mean, I want everybody to understand, you know, this is an effort to really just address our young people. Now, we don't really know if this number is going to end up at $13 million or it's going to end up at $27 million. But Charles, we do know this, that we do know that the testing today, yesterday, in the last 24 hours, cost who knows what. I don't really know if that number is 500,000 because I don't know if all the tests were $100 a piece or the number is 1,080,000. But it's a big number. And when you multiply that number times 30 days in a month or every other day, I don't know exactly how the number is calculated and everything, it becomes a gigantic amount every month, every single month. So if we do something here and now that basically eliminates a tremendous amount of deaths and hospitalizations and absolutely all this amounts of testing and everything, not only will it be money very well spent, but good gracious, what you have depended on me for is to find methodologies and come up with ideas and ways that we in West Virginia can protect other West Virginians from this dreaded disease killing us. That's what I'm trying to do. So Charles, I think we've got the money in the old CARES buckets and everything. I don't know exactly where it is and all that kind of stuff, but I think we're good to go there. I don't know exactly how successful this campaign will be, but it will be some level of success. We got to do something. And I continue to try to do anything and everything I can to protect our people.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next to Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11.
Hi, thanks for taking a moment for my question. Happy belated birthday, Governor. I hope you had a good day yesterday celebrating your birthday. A couple of quick questions. One, will those $100 payments, be they savings bonds or be they $100 bills? People have asked me, and maybe you've said it and I've missed it, so please clarify for me. Is that retroactive to anyone age 16 to 35 who's gotten the vaccine? They will be receiving $100 or just moving forward? If you could clear that up for me, I'd appreciate it. And also, I've been asked to ask about testing at nursing homes, and you talk about the expense. Nursing home workers and staff are being tested, from what I'm told, twice a week still. And that's expensive, number one, but also it can be tiring for someone who works at a nursing home. Is there any conversation going on to maybe moving that for people who are vaccinated to fewer testing opportunities to give a benefit to those workers who've decided to get the vaccine? Thank you.
Okay, Kenny, first thing, anybody 16 to 35 years of age that's gotten their vaccine already will be getting a savings bond. It's just that simple. And we're still working through all the wickets as far as, how do we get the savings bonds and how do we, how do we achieve all that? You're either going to get the savings bond or you're going to get $100 check from the state or whatever, but it's for real and it's going to happen and it's going to come to all those 16 and up to 35 that have received the vaccination, that have already received it or do get it. Now, as far as the nursing home stuff, Kenny, we probably ought to really look at that. We're looking at changing the rules and everything. It seems like continuing to test people that have been fully vaccinated and everything on this regular basis may be a little bit of overkill, but there's not much to getting the testing. But still, it's not the most pleasant thing in the world to do, and I'm sure our elderly would like it if we backed off a little bit on that. So we're looking at it. We'll have to let you know on that one.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Next, we'll go to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, panel. Do we have statistics available on who may be getting the adverse reaction to the shot, the maybe having the toughest time with the second shot of Moderna or Pfizer, or having a problem with Johnson & Johnson? I've been given some information that the older you are, the less likely you are to have a reaction. Is there anything to that, or was I given bad information? Thank you.
Okay, General or Dr. Marsh, maybe y'all can, I know you can handle this a lot better than I.
Maybe I'll start, Jim. So Paul, nationally, it's reported, as you correctly point out, that elders who are vaccinated have less side effects or sore arm, feeling crappy the day after than younger people, maybe due to the level of immune response against the vaccine. We also know that people that have previously had COVID-19 who get the series of vaccines oftentimes do have a little bit more of a reaction because their body is already been primed with the initial infection and then with the 2 doses if they choose to take the 2 doses. But what we know is when people do have some additional effects of the second vaccine, instead of looking at that as bad, we should look at that as in some ways positive, because it means that your immune system is very vigorously reacting against the vaccine, so in very specific ways, so that it will recognize the virus if it comes in an even more aggressive manner. But in general, any really severe side effects from the vaccine, first or second dose, are extremely, extremely rare. And as we've talked about many times, these vaccines are amazingly safe. And, you know, we see the country of India that's had 1 million cases, average 1 million cases in 3 days, and gotten to the point where people are turned away from hospitals if they don't bring their own oxygen because they're running out of oxygen, as a place that has not effectively vaccinated their population, 2% of their population. So these vaccines are amazingly safe and have very, very few side effects.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next to Brendan Tierney with WSAZ.
Good afternoon, Brendan Tierney with WSAZ News Channel 3 here. I was wondering, Governor, if you have considered changing any of the mask mandate rules in West Virginia following the CDC's updated guidelines that came out yesterday, and also if there's any way to be able to tell who's vaccinated and who isn't, because much of what was released yesterday impacts people who are vaccinated versus people who aren't, and what ways you're able to tell, okay, this person has been vaccinated so they can take their mask off versus this other person that hasn't been vaccinated, so we have to make sure they still have a mask on.
Brendan, first of all, we don't have any order or executive order whatsoever for people, you know, wearing a mask outdoors. You know, we only have that for inside public spaces. And from the standpoint of wanting to get rid of this and everything, you know, I am all over it. Trust me. We are absolutely getting closer and closer and closer. We do not have to sit around and think about having to wear this mask forever and a day. We do not have to do that. Just absolutely bear with all the facts and all the folks that have passed away and know that this mask did help us. It really did. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, oh, it didn't do us any good at all and everything. Please, please, give me a break. I mean, it did help us. But at the same time, I want rid of it so badly, because not only do I not like it and absolutely know that it's an inconvenience in every way for me, it's a pain in the butt. I mean, that's all there is to it. And I want rid of it so badly, it's unbelievable. I just got to cling to it just a little bit longer. Not forever by any stretch of the imagination, and not necessarily in any way till we get to 70% of our people, but all of the medical team that I have to listen to. I have to listen to the experts. And if I don't, then I'm just winging it all on my own. I am not a doctor. And I'm going to listen to the experts. And all my medical team right now says, we've got to stay the course for a little bit longer.
All right, thank you, Brendan. Next to Brett Dunlap with the Parkersburg News and Sentinel.
Yeah, Governor. We're coming up to that time of year when people, students from who are going to school out of state, and the snowbirds are going to be returning home. I was wondering if there was any way right now that the state is being able to keep track if they were vaccinated, where they go to school or where they go for the winter, if that's tracked anyway for the state's vaccination totals, and for the students, would they qualify for one of the bonds if they were vaccinated where they went to school out of state?
All I can add to that is that all of us are on exactly what you're talking about. I wish to goodness in so many ways, as far as the savings bond and as far as the motivation to really get them going and everything, it'd be nice if it were, March the 1st instead of approaching May the 1st. Last night I had a conversation with Dr. Dan Anderson. He called and everything, and Dan is the head of Appalachian Bible. We were talking about that, and he was saying that this coming Saturday is, for the most part, the last day for those kids. And so, we have been all over trying to figure a methodology to be able to do what you're talking about. If they were to be vaccinated at home and they can show us proof of that and everything, they're coming back into West Virginia to school, I'd be all for them getting their savings bonds. But what we need to do is we need to just have a little bit more time to work out more details with the Department of Ed and all the people.
All right, thanks, Brett. Next to June Leffler with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Hello, Governor and panel. Thank you for taking my question. So, we're going to be dedicating a lot of funding to these bonds. I'm wondering if there's any talks about dedicating funds to more marketing campaigns, PSAs, things like that.
June, absolutely, we're doing that, and we're dedicating the funds, the proper funds, to be able to do that. I mean, this is not a one prong or one leg approach. I mean, that's all there is to it, because at the end of the day, June, I can get up here and I know this, and I can tell, our kids that are 16 to 35 years of age that we're absolutely going to give everybody a savings bond and all that kind of stuff. And I know we'll get a response, but it probably won't be near to the level of everything we need to do. It's an all-in marketing plan. This is not one thing solves anything, But June, you've got to remember just one thing. Here's a number to really just put in the back of your mind and think about it. DHHR has just notified me in the last 2 months. In the last 2 months, we've spent between $19 and $22 million in the last 2 months on testing. In 2 months, we have spent $19 to $22 million. June, if this were fabulously successful, as far as the bonds, unbelievably successful, if we absolutely spent $19 to $22 million, it would be unbelievably successful at that amount. We spent that in the last 2 months on testing alone. Now, June, if I could spend that amount on a marketing deal to where I could really inflict some level of patriotism and pull it off to where I could get 19 million expenditure to 22 million, and that would amount to 190,000 to 220,000 16 to 35-year-olds. June, we'd shut this thing down. We'd stop it. We'd stop it right in its tracks. Now, you tell me. I mean, any marketing plan, this is an all-in approach, it's just one part. But absolutely, you tell me, if you were sitting in this chair and you knew that for the amount of money that we've spent on testing alone for 2 months, and we've got the money, We could, if we have real success with our 16 to 35-year-olds, we could shut this thing down in June. That does not take into account how many are hospitalized. What's the cost of those hospitalizations? How many people die? What's the cost to the families? And if we could successfully do this, heaven to Betsy. You know, what an investment. What a return on investment. You know, I'm a business guy. ROI is really important to me in the world, but that would be the return on investment that would be absolutely off the chart. That's what we're going to try to do.
All right, thank you, June. Next to Veronica Obey with WDTV.
Perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Governor, I think this one will also be for you. Sorry to keep you talking here. As you're already aware, the closure of Mylan Pharmaceuticals will leave over 2,000 employees unemployed by the end of July. And after speaking with the president of United Steelworkers in Morgantown, he suggested to invoke the National Defense Act to avoid relying on other countries to provide medications to West Virginians, or to consider a tax abatement to keep what is now Beatrice in Morgantown. So my question, are these options you have considered, and or have you been kind of orchestrating your own plan to help these workers that could face unemployment?
And this was who joining in?
This was Veronica.
Veronica. Veronica, first of all, I don't think that I have the authority to do what you have suggested. That's really got to come, you know, from our president and our Commerce Department and you know, and all those that we're talking with all the time. You know, it's really not a governor's decision, but Veronica, I've got to add the caveat that I would love it. You know, we're doing work to try to come up with a solution for all those folks, but we've not come up with the solution. And really and truly, what an incredible resource that's been for Mon County, for West Virginia in every way, and what an unbelievable loss that it will become if we don't come up with a resource. And we're trying, but I'm telling you, if that would come to pass and everything, it would really, really benefit us, and we'll beat that drum as loudly as we possibly can. But that's really got to come through the President of the United States and not a governor. Our Commerce Department's working it, but to my knowledge so far, you know, I don't think we have hot leads that are going to solve the problem right now.
All right, thank you, Veronica. Next to David Beard with the Dominion Post.
Hi, I was absent Monday, so you may have already answered my question, and the governor may have just answered it a few minutes ago, but I didn't quite catch it. So if I could get a reminder, how many people age 16 to 35 do we have in the state? And do we know how many of them have already been vaccinated? So to make up the difference. Thanks.
David, I think I can take that. I think we've got approximately 380,000. See, David, watch how this math works. And I did this while I was sitting here just the other day. But this is really neat how this works. If you take a population that's eligible, people that are eligible to take the vaccine, 1,470,000. Those are eligible, okay? Now, of those eligible, let's just say we've gotten shots in the arms, you know, that are first round shots that I'm assuming people are going to get second round of 800,000. I'm just rounding a little bit to make it really simple. All right, now, if you do this, if you step back to the population of 1,470,000 that are eligible today, and you take 40% of that number, and Kenny Bass mentioned this, and I loved the question, and I loved the whole idea. But he said 40% of them may not take the vaccine, okay? And of that, or may possibly not take it, of that 40% that may not take the vaccine, that's 588,000, right? Now, we've been through that. That's when I said, then I wrote on the paper, beat 588 ... bad. Okay. Now, just stay with me just one second. If we've got right at 800,000 are vaccinated, you know, and what we want to do is we want to go out with and then there's 380,000 that are age 16 to 35. And let's round again. Let's say 80,000 of those have already had their vaccination. Okay? So now that takes us down to 300,000. All right, now you got 300,000 that are out there. 300,000 that haven't had the vaccine, they're 16 to 35 years of age. If 70% of them, now think about it, if I can get to 70% of them, now this older people, 65 plus, are going to be at 85. But if I can get to 70% of that 300,000, one part of your question was, how many people 16 to 35 have already taken their vaccine? I'd say it's really close to 80,000. Okay, if I can take 70% of 300,000 that's left, that gives me 210,000. Now watch what happens here, David, because this is the ticket right here. You take 210,000 and add that to 800,000 that have already taken their vaccine, and that puts me at 1,100,000 people. No, I'm sorry, 1,010,000. That's right, 1,010,000, okay, that then will have their vaccine in their arm. Now, guys, do this for me. Take 1,010,000 and divide it by the total that's eligible, 1,470,000, and tell me what that percentage is. That's 68% of the whole population. Now, David, if we can get to that, all this goes. Absolutely, our medical experts are going to tell us that that in itself will absolutely cripple this disease. Absolutely, it will enable me to read almost a lot less names. And what's going to happen, David, if we don't do this? If we don't do this, the variants are going to probably catch us. Absolutely, you're going to have all kinds of issues. Kids, absolutely, that are going to end up with COVID and not even know they've got it, may very well end up with side effects as they go through their life, maybe even heart issues or whatever it may be. You know, I'm not an alarmist. I don't come on here and scare people. All I do is tell people the truth. The whole thing in a nutshell is if we don't do this and we don't achieve this, without any question, we're going to have consequences. The level of consequences could be phenomenal. The answer to your questions, David, one more time, is just simply this. 380,000 total. We vaccinated right at 80. That leaves 300 left. If we get 70% of the ones that are left, that gives us 210,000. It cost, in savings bonds, $21 million. We spent 19 to 22 in the last 2 months on testing. Best deal in the history of the world. It shuts the thing down, and then you know the last thing it does? It makes that 588 go down by, and let me get this right, it goes down to 460,000. It basically cuts into the 588 128,000 people. So we have then beaten 588 bad, and we have absolutely stopped this thing almost cold in its tracks. We've got rid of the mask, and every day that goes by, we will continue to vaccinate people from 35 to whatever age, and it'll make it even better. So, at the end of that day, that's the math, David. Absolutely, it'll work. It'll work. We got to get there. We need you. We need you to help us. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, David. Next to Phil Kapler with the Charleston Gazette-Mail.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to drill down a little bit on the specifics of doing the savings bonds, which, as I understand it, bonds aren't the paper certificates that you and I used to receive as kids or as graduation presents. They're all done electronically. And as I understand it, the recipient has to set up an account on Treasury now. So walk us through the specifics of how you apply for and receive these bonds, and also how you reach a generation that for many savings bond is as foreign as an S&H green stamp or a 8-track player. How do you reach out to a generation that's not really familiar with savings bonds?
Okay, Phil. First of all, the details of how to do it with Treasury, we're working through that, and there's big time details. And it's difficult. You know, I mean, most things are a little hard, you know, because when you call up Treasury and say you want 200,000 or whatever it may be, and we've not done that because we would only do it as we have need for it. But if you call up and you say, we're contemplating the need for the possibility of 200,000 savings bonds, well, everybody vapor locks. And, you know, and the details, you know, of how to register, how to do this, how to do that and everything, they're numerous. And that's why it's taking us a little while to get there. You know, at the end of the rainbow, we may have to just say, nope, we can't do that. We're just going to send you a $100 check. But from my standpoint, Phil, this is exactly how I feel. You've got a generation, just like you said, that probably doesn't know much about a savings bond. But you've got parents and grandparents that surely do. And they're the ones that are going to have to really motivate their kids to do something that will bring back not only a memory to them, but it will give our kids something that, in my opinion, we need to infuse in all of us, and that is an extra dose of patriotism. This country is way too divided today. Absolutely, without any question, this deal of first and foremost be a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, first and foremost identify yourself that way versus being a West Virginian or an American, that doesn't cut it with me. That's all there is to it. This country is way too divided today in many, many aspects. You know, absolutely, our young people are going, they think they're invincible, they're going in 1,000 different directions all the time and doing everything under the sun, just like probably we were too. But really and truly, right now, our young people can step up and do something that is truly remarkable. Now, we don't have all the details. You know, in most good ideas and plans, you don't sit around 50,000 days trying to just incubate something that is absolutely perfect, because it probably won't be perfect once you incubate it. But with all that being said, you know, we are close to being there. Our people are working with the Treasury Department like crazy. They're working with our state Treasury office and everything. You know, and Riley Moore and all of our people are working really hard to try to figure out exactly how this can be done. And I'll promise you this, from the standpoint of when we made our announcement, people are calling. I mean, just think about it. I was on the phone with the governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. And I was on the phone with Andy asking him to try to help us on the initial calls from Steve McDaniel, you know, our head of our DNR, to help us to try to do something, and if we could, to be able to increase our elk herd in West Virginia. They have a tremendous elk herd, and they've even got a situation where over in the eastern part of Kentucky, maybe they have some nuisance issues and everything, and we'll pay for it. We've got the money to pay for it. We've kind of slowed and hit the wall a little bit, you know, with our elk herd growth and everything. So I've asked him, I was on the phone with him asking him to please some way consider, because they've had a 5-year agreement, I think, with Wisconsin and everything, and that's done now. And we maybe could slot in the ability to pick up some elk from Kentucky, and they have giant size elk and everything, and all that would be wonderful, wonderful. Now, I was on the phone with him at 12:30. I came here, this was on Monday. I came here and did the briefing at 1 o'clock, and then I announced the savings bond stuff, and you know who's called, wanting to know the particulars of the savings bond stuff and everything, because they may consider doing it and everything? The Kentucky people. The Kentucky people. Absolutely, West Virginia tries at least, and that's what we should do. My goodness, this isn't a silver bullet. I mean, there's no silver bullet, but you got to try. You got to try. And so that's what we're trying to do.
All right, thanks, Phil. Governor, I'll turn it back to you.
Oh gosh, I didn't expect you to just come right back right then, but the only real notes I have, that I've made during the briefing today is just this. And I don't mean this to sound snotty, but I would just say just this. How many experts are we going to have? How many people are we going to have report to you over and over and over, West Virginia, just this, that people that get this vaccine are living? The likelihood of you having an issue from this vaccine is almost nothing. These vaccines are incredibly great. The success is unbelievable. 566,476 people, by my charts that I have right here in front of me, this many people are fully vaccinated in West Virginia. 566,476. Now, of 566,000 people that are fully vaccinated, do you know how many of them have died from this vaccination stuff? Three. Do you know how many people in West Virginia are dying from COVID? I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable, But 3 people have died from COVID, not the vaccine. 3 people have gotten COVID and died from COVID that are fully vaccinated in West Virginia. I mean, look, I know how smart West Virginians are, and I know how good of people we are. And I know how busy we are in jobs and everything that we're doing all over the place and everything we're running, but you can't tell me that there is a West Virginian that's smart and just an average West Virginian that would possibly argue that they can't take this vaccine because they're worried about it. They're worried about getting COVID or whatever like that and dying from this. It is absolutely silly. I mean, please just turn on Fox or CNN or whatever and watch the TV just a little bit and look at what's going on in India or all kinds of places. I mean, and you really absolutely think West Virginia is immune? West Virginia is the 3rd oldest state in the country. In addition to that, it has the most chronic illnesses. It doesn't have an ocean to protect us. It has variants, all these variants that are out there and everything. And we've told you over and over and over how successful these vaccines are. You got to help me. You got to help me. That's all there is to it. Nevertheless, I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it because there's no place better than West Virginia. The people, there's no place better than the people. We just got to protect us. Look out for each other. Thank you so much.